This is Kevin Jaskowiak again, and this is the Unisense podcast. As we talked about yesterday, we are remote today, so we're going to give this a try. And I am joined again with my good friend Bharat. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be walking through Palo Alto and looking at historic sites, restaurants, things to do, places to go. And really what we want to do is we want to show the power of AI and how it can, we've talked about retail, we've talked about grocery, we talked about food delivery, but we haven't talked about travel. And that's the big thing. And so what we're able to do is we're able to use AI. Unfortunately, AI doesn't turn off lawnmowers, but it brings a little authenticity to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it over to Bharat. He's going to tell you exactly how we came up with the route, a little bit about the route, and then we'll continue on from there. There you go, Bharat.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. Hi, everyone. Today is really exciting because, in my opinion, travel and tourism is actually the most intricate and the most complex and probably one of the best use cases for AI and generative AI. So we're right here where it all started. And let me switch my camera around so you can see. We are at the place where in 1939, Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard started Hewlett-Packard out of their garage. And thus began the whole story of Silicon Valley. And I think that's essentially, we've gone from there to AI itself. And, we would definitely take you through this. AI can actually do several things in the travel and tourism space, and right from help you plan your destination, pick the best price, to stay within your budget, and do many, many more complex activities. So let's walk along and kind of discuss this while we look at Palo Alto. Now, why Palo Alto? Palo Alto today is the hotbed of innovation for AI, and where many of the new startups in the space and many of the established players continue to have a presence. Right from the legendary Sand Hill in Menlo Park, where the venture capitalists were, down to Mountain View, where a lot of the early entrepreneurs lived. Palo Alto is right in the middle of it. And it's not just tech. Both the head and the heart meet in Palo Alto. So it's ideal for, for a travel and tourism destination.
Hey, Bharat, can I ask you a quick question? So what I thought was unique about this is how you came up with the route. And you actually used AI to identify the ideal route for kind of what we're doing today. Is there a way you can kind of talk a little bit about how you used AI and kind of the process you went through to pick kind of this ideal route that we're walking today?
And Kevin, as always, since it is authentic, since it is first time, since we're using our phones to do everything, there's a little bit of there's a little bit of start and stop. So how did we pick the path? So I use generative AI, and I use a little bit of our own home-built Unisense technology. Unisense allowed us to identify all the different destinations. Kevin, we got to go the other way. So Unisense allowed us to identify all the destinations that would be interesting for me. And then I went into the things that I thought would be good for Kevin too. There's one unique thing about travel and tourism. What's good for the goose may not be great for the gander. So you got to find stuff that everybody likes to do, and or you find something that's acceptable to multiple people, and around that place find things that are great for each person. So that could be one strategy. It's completely personalized. deeply personal, deeply emotional, that's travel. So I thought of things that I know we both like to go to coffee shops. So there's definitely a coffee shop en route. Um, Kevin told me yesterday he loves to walk around some of the bigger parks in San Francisco. So there's a couple of parks on the route. And I like to hang around these coffee shops where all the VCs show up. In fact, um, one of the VCs that I met for one of the earlier startups where we actually got funded happened in Hana House, where we're going to visit. So generative AI is useful to give you a path. So if I say, give me a path where I can sightsee in Palo Alto, generative AI will give me a path which would have taken me hours to do, because it looks at content, it maps um, different potential interests. Um, but what it doesn't do, it doesn't give me the path. So it doesn't necessarily give me what exactly I want. That requires a lot of tuning and tweaking. So when you combine Gen AI with something that makes the whole discovery a little more fun and engaging, then you can actually find and explore a particular area even before you go there. And that's what I was doing, the last day or two in trying to establish a good path. Now, there's also constraints, right? It's not just a free-form thing. There's constraints like budget, there's constraints like time, there's constraints like how much I'm willing to walk before I get my coffee. So let me pause here.
So, Brad, I got a question for you. So, this is great. We have a plan, we have a strategy, those type of things. But what really differentiates this from like Expedia or a current travel site that we can lay out locations and ideas? What's the difference of applying AI to this compared to just using, um, the basic, I guess, search or recommendation tools that are currently in the systems like that?
Yeah, that's really where the entire differentiator for today is, Kevin. I think it's a great question, because when we go to a Gen AI um, type of solution, then you also get um, the ability to interact with all the information that's actually available online. Things like wiki travel and many other places are already built into Gen AI. um, so it says we're at Heritage Park. I think that's probably that. um, and so we're now at Heritage Park, which actually is a place where people come and hang out. And um, and you can see Palo Alto right in the middle of so many different places. There's also um, so much greenery. And um, the advantage of Gen AI is it picked these paths for me when I gave it a little bit of cue saying that we want to go through someplace green, which is something I can't do with Expedia today. I'm going to keep searching for places and destinations, and I'm pretty sure they'll all get there. But it's a lot of you continue to refine search. It's a little bit like the old search paradigm, where if I want to find out what do I take, uh, I'm feeling tired. What's a home remedy for me? I'll get hundreds of sites to look at. And whereas with Gen AI, it's going to pick one of them, it's going to make an essay out of it and explain it to you in a way that you're comfortable with. So the whole the thing to keep in mind is it's not that Gen AI is going to be accurate. but it is going to give you an answer, and it's going to give you a framework for you to continue to interact with it till you find an answer that's a little more satisfying for you. So here we are in Heritage Park. It's a really beautiful place, and there is a small sculpture here called the digital DNA, which is completely made of recycled electronics and showcasing what everybody is thinking of in terms of sustainability.
Hey, Parag, quick question for you. So I like the idea of using this AI to pick the routes and those type of things. How do you see a solution like this? How would a city use this? I guess now we're talking about a personal, like one person. How can you see a city using a tool and a solution like Unisense for the bigger picture?
I think it can make a huge difference to a city, Kevin, because cities are trying to showcase everything they have to potentially everybody who would potentially want to visit. And today, again, the standard problem is you keep on searching and searching, whereas a city can actually tell you that, hey, these are all the places we have, and do you want to pick and choose where you'd like to go? So let's say I'm thinking of visiting the Bay Area from Southern California, and I say, let me explore the city of Palo Alto, and I find it's got everything. It's got places like the Stanford Main Quad. It has coffee shops. It also has really nice trails like the Stanford Dish. I constantly see bird watchers post photographs on social media. It's got a little bit of everything, great places to walk, and fantastic food. So the city can just showcase all of these in a way that's really engaging. And when people are deciding to come up, they may even find a hotel in this area, and everything from revenues to local businesses get a boost.
So Bharat, you told us about this statue, and we're at Heritage Park. I'm looking for it. Maybe you can help us, because you did a pretty good sales job on it, and now we can't find the statue. So
I think we passed it on the way here.
I think, well, let's just say there was a statue, and we saw it. So we'll go from there.
All right.
Well, so much for the statue. All right. So, Bharat, where's our next stop as we walk along the beautiful streets of Palo Alto?
Yeah, we're going to go down to Hana House. So Hana House was founded by the co-founder of SAP, and he wanted to bring two cultures together. The cafe culture of Europe to the tech culture of the US, and this I would say this melting pot of these two cultures has been incredible in creating all the companies we have today. So we're going to turn a left here. And so today it's very typical for new startups and VCs and entrepreneurs and technologists to come together in places like Hana House and the innumerable coffee shops all around the world. But a lot of that tradition, especially in the tech world, started here in Palo Alto. And so it's really nice to potentially explore one of these places.
It's great. Sorry about that. I had to say hi to one of the locals. So, can the AI actually tell us and help us identify how many coffee shops are in a city, or and how does it bring in the recommendations? I shouldn't use recommendations. How does it help us mold our visits so we go to the correct coffee house? I guess that's the bigger question.
Yeah, I think there's several hundred coffee shops in Palo Alto when I did my research, and there's many different types of them. So one of the coffee shops on Ramona Street, which we're going to try and visit, it's called Cooper. It sells really good Venezuelan coffee, and so what the AI can do, and that's where it plays an important role, is what you said, Kevin. It's the personalization. There's many places to go, but can you craft a path that would be uniquely interesting for me? And if the two of us are traveling, can you craft a path that's interesting for both of us, which becomes so much more of a complex problem. If a place like Palo Alto, and especially we're getting now to the heart of it, which is University Avenue, University Avenue probably has maybe 1,000 different things to do, at least. So now can you craft a path that, will take maybe 20, 25 minutes, but be interesting for two people? And then can you make it 3 and 4? So the AI can actually target results for one person, can target things for a group to do, and it can optimize so many different things, right from time, budget, the duration of each visit, and how the group dynamics even work.
So when it comes to a city using a solution like this, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to dig at, and this really from my own knowledge is, so the city of Palo Alto says, yes, I want to use this technology. How would they implement it, and where do you see, like me being a consumer, when I go to the city of Palo Alto website, or is it bringing all the vendors together, bringing more of like a synergetic community together, or how does AI work that way?
So I think there's two entry points, Kevin. Many cities have a department of tourism, and most cities have a department of or chamber of commerce. I think either of those could easily promote their websites in the city, and those websites could be the hub for discovery within the city. And if a city takes a 5-year horizon, and I've worked with cities across multiple countries to implement things like this. If a city works with a 5-year horizon, with a little bit of both brick and mortar and online work, it can actually create many options for people. The first is discoverability. The second is ease of transacting. The third is encouragement to local businesses, to make the local businesses available online. And then discoverability for people, not just the tourists, but even the locals, to actually find the local businesses and incentivize them to buy from the local businesses, because that really will promote the whole economy of the city.
Yeah, I think that you kind of stole my thunder on that one, because I really believe that technology like this starts to help the local small, I hate using the word mom and pop, but those type of restaurants and stores. I think what happens is you have a major food chain move in. No matter what, it's going to push out a lot of the smaller ones, and or you just don't know about it unless you hear word of mouth. Um, if I have one lunch that I'm going to do, am I going to try something I don't know? And I think with this technology, it's going to open up the opportunity for people to actually engage with many more local shops with the knowledge that this is tailored to what I'm looking for.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. It levels the playing field, and the city can do that. Today, the entire e-commerce and online space is more about the people that can advertise are getting more eyeballs, but the city can level that playing field, um, and make it more based on relevance rather than just than merely advertising dollars. Of course, the city would love to see advertising dollars, but relevance itself, will play a very important part. Um, I think we can go left and go right.
Rod,
And
I have not been down here for 5 years. And I used to actually work on University Avenue in a little startup, and I just remember the buzz, the excitement. Uh, Now thinking about it, I also remember, I'll give you an example here. As I look across the street, I see, you know, 3 or 4 different restaurants and a optical store in the middle. The idea is if I was going to have one lunch that I need to do today, what would be my choice? And especially if you have 2 people, 3 people, and I think with the power of AI, one, we'd be able to pick before, so it's not going to be the classic debate. What do you want to eat? I don't know what you want to eat, but more so, it's going to be tailored to a higher probability of a food that all of us like to engage with. So I think that's big. That's a big whoops big change in technology. I think is going to help tourism in cities like Palo Alto, but also even large cities like New York, LA, San Francisco.
yeah, Kevin, we worked with a very large city with almost 20 million people to actually create content guides for the city for almost every small and large point of interest. As you pointed out, and I'm going to show you as we're approaching Hana House. Um, so we are getting close to Hana House right up front, and once there's just so much history just even to Hana House, even if the history is just a few years old, and many our good firefighters from the Palo Alto Menlo Park area. Um, there's just this hustle and bustle in university, and uh, life continuing to proceed. We are now entering Hana House, and this is a hot spot of a lot of action. It's very typical to see Hana House completely full. There wouldn't be a table available, and Kevin and I cleverly picked a weekday to come here. There's meetings, there's folks that just show up and sometimes spend major part of the day here.
Well, we just left Hana House. It was unbelievable. Barad, you are not lying about the buzz. There's kind of like an incubator feel inside, and then on top of it, here's a little plug. One of the best coffees in the Bay, Blue Bottle. It's unbelievable. But you see people in there, and it really is that heartbeat. And what you talked about, it's all up and down the street is where new technology starts, and really where we're seeing the immersion of true AI platforms, similar to Unisense, popping up every single day. Um, Brett, we talked about, we got down to the local level. We talked about restaurants. Um, let's talk about the city. So let's take it back out. Use my favorite saying, let's go to the 100,000 foot level. How do you see AI, and really what is Unisense solution, for, and I'm talking about the package. This isn't a sales pitch, but I think when we get into more tangible, what solution fits what, it's a little more easy to understand. So, how do you see Unisense kind of fitting into a city approach like Palo Alto and other cities throughout the Bay Area?
Hey, Kevin, it was a good coffee, and the AI got us to mark, got us. The other thing is that the DNA statue that I was looking at ended up being a kid's park. So it's still some way to go when I discovered it as well that. Um,
So, Bharat, I have to jump in real quick because I think it's hilarious that we have AI to give us the ability to find where the statue is located in Heritage Park, but we couldn't find the statue. So, I think what maybe AI is getting a little farther advanced than we thought. We can't even find where the statue is. But I think it was very impressive on your sales approach of the statue. And on our way back, we're going to try to find this statue no matter what, because I think it's going to be life changing for me and everybody else. So hopefully they didn't take it down. But so, Brad, I asked a question earlier about, we got into the granular level of AI and how it's approaching, local restaurants, that type of thing. How do you see AI approaching a city and more of at 100,000 foot level? And what I'd like you to do is get more into the packages. I know we don't. This isn't a sales pitch, but I think it's very tangible when you talk about, how a solution can work with a city. I think that's very powerful for at least for me to understand, how AI can actually have an influence in tourism for a city like Palo Alto. Can you go a little deeper into that?
Yeah, and Kevin, sorry about the statue. I followed all the instructions to the T, but there was no statue.
We'll find it one day. I guarantee you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think I may need to use some other tool to do it. So what we want to really realize is that there's a whole bunch of things that the city can do to especially take advantage of AI. Let's start there, and then let's go into some specifics. The first thing is that a lot of interactive tools, like the first is really dynamic content creation. Content has to be created, and the content has to be tailored to each type of audience separately. Some people want to consume only bite-sized content, like 1 minute content or 3 minute content. Some would love to do their research. So even just creating all the content, picking up the stories, like we started at, Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard's shed or garage. Even starting from there is, it's one of the greatest stories of Silicon Valley, and there's so many of them. So putting the stories together, building content, is one big use of AI. Content can come to you as text, as videos, as sound bites, as podcasts, and can also come as augmented reality, virtual reality content. So that's another thing that a city can potentially do. The third is dynamic packaging. The city is aware of its own inherent rhythm. Like if there's a conference and all the hotels are going to be full, and there's going to be times in the year where businesses don't have that much demand. So a city can actually create dynamic packages where it's a combination of places to stay, places to visit, bundle the tickets. We're getting close to the Stanford Theater, and all my favorite, I do used to watch Audrey Hepburn, and Charlie Chaplin, and and the Stanford Theater screens a lot of these movies. So, just even packaging all of these together, doing dynamic packaging is something really big that a city can do. And then, of course, creating a web front that highlights the local businesses and gives each business a fair shake, whether it's small or big. The mom and pop stores need to come back. I mean, they've been the lifeblood of economy worldwide. We've worked with cities in the past where they've had a chance to bring them back, and it creates a certain vibrancy to travel and tourism and to the economy itself. But I'm not a statesman, so this is just my opinion. Um, and uh, and the other areas where the city can really make an impact using AI is really training. Educational material and training for whether it's for people who are coming in or the local folks in order to better serve the large flux of inbound population that wants to look at the city. These are just some of the areas, but I'm sure there's many others as well. I think we're just scratching the surface because um, a city is so complex and has so much to offer. And this is a great way to really AI is like really give at a real crossroads right now where it can bring the old AI, which is essentially predictive analytics, saying how much demand is going to be there for various services and inbound traffic to the city, all the way to the new AI, which is I can answer anything for you, like finding our route through Palo Alto, and maybe getting a few things better, like the park and the statue. Um, Long-winded answer, but hope that helped.
Brought.
There's a lot cities can do.
Wait, hold on. It's not recording yet. Did we start recording? Did we start recording?
Yep, you can start.
Okay. Ready? Go. Okay. Ready?
Yeah,
Go.
there's actually a lot that cities can do. The main thing is how do they take all the different diverse areas they have and create the right content personalized for every person, right? Some people want to consume bite-sized content. They're okay to read text. Some want to see a 1-minute video. Some want to see a 5-minute video. Some do hours of research and would love to see a lot more detail. So one is just content creation. Then the content presentation. Some of the content can be made available on their website for easier discovery. And the second thing is that some of the content can even go into very engaging audio and video, like augmented reality, virtual reality, etc. So there's a lot that can be done there. The second thing is dynamic packaging. Cities have ebbs and flows. There's the Bay Area, for example, tends to be sold out during late spring, early summer for conferences. So at that time, the hotels are going to be full and there's a lot of revenue coming into the city. The city can maximize that by giving people places to visit. So you're at the conference during the day. What can you do in the city in the evening? So there's a lot of dynamic packaging that can be done. But what about times when there's no demand, and that can be dynamically priced, dynamically packaged tourist destination too. So that's yet another example of where the AI can actually play a very important role. Then, of course, you saw what it did for us. It helped us pick the route, but it didn't really map the route into specifics. So we kind of lost our way a little bit. So it can get more accurate. And again, let me reiterate, right? I see that AI can help you pick a path and get started, but then you have to do your own work and research to make that be something that works for you and the other folks you're traveling with. Then there is actually a lot of predictive analytics that the city can do, right from food, the availability of food, the availability of rooms, predictive analytics can play a very important role in maximizing the city's revenues. One other slight less explored area is health and safety. If there's parts of the city that maybe it could be anything from from inspections to quality of food, to timings and things like that that have a positive impact on health or safety. And I think that's another thing, that rather than go and look it up everywhere, the AI can just distill this information, and people can make their plans even before they show up. So these are just some of the areas. I think there's definitely a lot more. But it is, like I said, deeply personal, deeply emotional, and connecting with each person in that journey, is something that a city can easily provide with good product discovery.
So Bharat, we're back here. I think we were having a little bit of connectivity issues by walking and getting reception. So what we did is we actually ended up at our last stop on our tour, which is the Copa House, which is the famous Venezuelan coffee place that you recommended. Ironically, like you said, we jumped the gun and got our coffee ready. But what I would like to do is I'd like to ask a question, and it's something that stemmed earlier. We started talking about local restaurants, theaters. Where do you see AI tying in with established sites such as Yelp, Google Maps, where people can put reviews? And how does AI leverage user feedback and user recommendations in order to make a more powerful recommendation?
Yeah, Kevin, it's got all the content, but it's not really putting it all together. Now, if you notice with a lot of Gen AI, where it is at is you have to keep asking it a lot of questions, and you have to keep refining the questions. But AI can actually do some pretty interesting things. Like we were in Italy about a year ago, and we just wanted to have the simplest pasta, just simple pasta. We wanted to just taste the local pesto sauce, and we kept looking in Yelp and kept searching, and it was really hard to find something and map it to where we were. And these are things that actually AI can solve pretty easily. It's find the cuisine that you like in the place you're in. You shouldn't have to search Yelp and keep filtering through all the ratings. It should just do it for you. And then you pick. And when you want to do research, then you go to Yelp and look around a little bit more. I think the answer to a question, or the starting point of your itinerary and the work, that's something the AI can easily help you with, and that itself will save you many hours of searching. So that's one area, and I think in the food and dining and delivery space, especially for cities, in tourism, AI can do quite a bit, because your food tastes are not going to change a whole lot from where you are to where you're visiting. So you may automatically want the AI to pick places you might be interested in. And at the same time, you might want to discover new things. So the AI can kind of recommend. And that's actually, again, one of the things we've been dabbling with, is to take a little bit of your history and a little bit of your, urge to discover new things, and put them together and blend them, and understand where you are in your mood right now. Do you want to go back to the tried and tested? Do you want to try something new? And because food is a comfort zone for many people, it's also get out of the comfort zone at times for many people. So that's one area, again, which ties in to this space. The other area is ad hoc planning. So you woke up, you went with maybe a tour group, you finished 7 days, and then you got the 8th day to do something, and it can easily make recommendations for you and make that last day productive. Or if you've gone there without a tour group and you want the AI to kind of pick and plan each day for you, it can help you with that too. So there's just a lot it can do.
Oh, that's great, Bharat. So let's go back to solutions. Um, do you see AI being a solution for an individual location like the Copa House, or do you see it being more a solution for a city like Palo Alto, which Copa House is a member of? And how do you see AI working on that? And would it make sense for a coffee house or a restaurant like the Copa House or Nola's or something like that to actually look at a Unisense solution? Or is this something that you think would be better if it was bubbled up to the city level and we looked at city as a whole for the AI solution?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, Kevin. I think definitely the city would strongly benefit from it, because AI filters things down based on people's constraints of time and space. But for an individual business, since the city's ability to send traffic is just in its early stages and it's not exploiting everything it can do, each business also wants to stand out and be attractive to its groups of people, that the groups of people that are important to that business. So you need to know where they are at, where else they're visiting in Palo Alto. If they're missing Palo Alto altogether, and if they like Venezuelan coffee, they may actually be in a neighboring city. You may want to get them to come here. So just being able to market is important. And the second thing is when people come, then understanding their preferences. Did they like did they like the flavoring in your coffee? Did they like the ingredients? Did they prefer that you actually do you kind of mix it in front of them? Just even understanding their preferences. It business owners tend to be very anecdotal in this, and they say, hey, I watched all the customers, and so I know what they're doing. But having worked with many of them, I know that they're so busy handling the register and handling their internal staff that they barely have time to watch, less than 5% of the people that walk through their doors. So even being able to capture that information, collate it, and make intelligent decisions is one place. The second thing is connecting their entire inventory and their supply chain and their planning to what's going on in the city. So if you know the city is going to see a surge, then you're going to get 10 times more orders of coffee on this time, and you have to be prepared. You don't want to run out. You want to manage your seating, you want to manage the number of staff you have in house, and a lot of dynamic forecasting. AI can play a great role, and they can even tie the city and the business can kind of tie in together.
That's great, Bharat. Again, I think sometimes you read my mind. Really what I wanted to do is kind of to wrap this up is, to bring it back to our previous uh, webinar, podcast, whatever we want to call it. And we talked about merchandising, we talked about supply chain management. And I thought that was a great point. So we talked about bringing people in, we talked about bringing people to locations, finding let's just use a coffee house, finding the coffee house that you're looking for. But like you said, in February, there's a giant conference in San Francisco, takes over the whole Moscone Center. Intuitively, if I've been at a restaurant long enough, I know that I need to increase the stock. But the idea is that there's conventions every other week, and they may not be as large as this one. But, I think the beauty in what you kind of explained is that AI has that ability to get back to the granular level of supply chain management and inventory, and can actually look at current trends in the city, how many people are going to attend the conference, the location of the conference, the probability of coming into my restaurant, and what I should have on stock. And so I think that's a huge selling point for AI. And I don't think, kind of similar to what you said, I've worked at this coffee house for 20 years. I started it. I know my people. I know when they come in. But if you ask me a question, Kevin, how many times have you run out of cups or coffee or sugar or pastries? then I pause and go, well, it doesn't happen often. By using the word often means that we're not optimizing. And I think AI gives us that ability to optimize inventory. And it doesn't matter if we're a giant retailer like a Nordstrom or a Macy's, or we're a small coffee house like the Copa House. And I think AI plays into all those elements to it. What do you think, Brad? I mean, am I hitting the point, or am I a little off base?
No, absolutely, Kevin. I think there's two ends of the spectrum for AI there. I think one is just the quantity of things and optimizing the inventory. I think on the other side is the highly personal stories that that each place has. And I love the story you shared earlier about where the you went to the haircut place, and the person actually said, instead of, you can pay one-fifth the price and go to a place down the road. I mean, that's such a great story. It's small, but each place has its own stories, right? And if these stories are available online, then the AI can just distill them and bring them out, and you understand the personality of a place. You understand it at both ends. You understand its ability to handle your visit, in terms of the numbers and the management and the forecasting and planning. But then each place has its own unique personality, and each block has its own personality, and each city has its own personality, and people want to experience both. And of all the domains, travel and tourism is by far one of the most experiential domains. And I think the role of AI there is it's just beginning. And I think there's a lot that's going to happen in this space.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad you brought that story back up, because I took it personal when he said, "Why don't you go down the street?" Because I thought he was telling me I didn't have that much hair and it wasn't worth $50 for a haircut. But maybe he did say that. But ironically, I'm looking down the street and I still see the barber shop open, and so I'm going to stick my head in there. If that barber's still working, I will be shocked. But no, I think you're bringing up some great points on how, you know there it is. Uh, you're bringing up some great points on how AI is taking that personal level that we used to cherish and bringing it to more of a global level so everybody can experience. I've only told that story 3 times. You're the third person. But again, if you think about it, that haircut place on the corner, very expensive, but also they're not there to try to take money from you. They're actually looking for the best solution for you and your hair. And if the best solution is going to a $10 barber shop for me, I think that's where I think AI brings in that element as well, because what I'm doing is I'm looking for a cost-effective haircut location, and they would recommend that. So I think that's a great. It's not my favorite story, but it's a good story regardless. So, Rod, I think that wraps up our trip through Palo Alto. This was very, very interesting. I think a couple things. This is our first one outside of offices, so we had a couple challenges, some connectivity, some sound issues, but I think it went really well. And one thing you're starting to notice. Oh, also, again, two guys talking AI is live. It is on Podbean. Definitely look it up. But one thing you're seeing here is that the authenticity and the honesty, and what we're trying to show is we're breaking down those whole barriers of the fear of AI, the uncertainty of AI, and purely the lack of information around AI. Everybody knows the buzzword, but really, what does it mean, and what does it do for you? I think these kind of out of office uh, experiences actually show the true aspect of AI. Even if we can't find the famous statue, AI took us to the park, and the whole idea of the park was to walk and to get fresh air. And so AI can't help it if they remove the statue. But what it did tell us is that we're looking for a solution to stretch the legs, go for a walk, and that's what it showed us. So, Bharat, any closing comments?
Uh, I I think the just being able to experience the world with a bit of AI, makes it a lot more interesting. And the time we would have spent in looking for things, we actually now leverage in experiencing it. So I think it's giving us back a lot of quality time. And so yeah, really enjoyed today's outdoor thing, Kevin. So thank you very much for facilitating it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And next week, we have a very exciting podcast coming up. We're going to have a special guest in the house, I believe. I'm not going to spill the beans on it, but once we secure it for next Wednesday, I will send it out via Twitter, and we will send it out email. It's definitely one you don't want to miss. So I look forward to next week, Bharat, and have a great day.
You too, Kevin. Thanks, everyone.